Hello, and welcome to workshop one of the Make Art Your Living event 2022. I can't believe it was a year ago that we held this event. The time has flown. So, over the next 2 weeks, I'll be here live pretty much every day, sharing everything I know about making art a living. I can't wait to get started. We have over 10,000 people from around the world taking part in this event. And I just want to pause for a minute and take that in, because if you think about how many of us there are all here right now sharing this moment together, it's an incredible experience. So let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I'd love to see where you are in the world. I've just seen there's someone tuning in from Kenya, Spain, UK, Trinidad and Tobago, California, Philippines, Spain, London, Valencia, Ireland, USA. Oh my gosh, amazing. Australia, France. How incredible. So it's going to be a fun 2 weeks. So I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to share who these workshops are for, so you'll know what to expect and how they will help you. So I work with people who create visual art. So I specialize in 2D, 3D, but what I'll teach you today and for the next 2 weeks really can be applied to anything. So it's free, soak it up. You might have signed up as a performing artist or a poet. I don't specialize in those areas, but soak it up anyway. I'm sure the workshops will help you. So what I mean by visual arts, we have lots of people in our community, such as crafters, people that paint, people that draw, collage, digital, clay, glass, chocolate, so textile art. So it's all of that kind of art. These are what we will be covering inside the workshops. And it's for all stages. So you might be a complete beginner. You may have just returned to art last week and you have no idea where to start. So what I teach you in the next 2 weeks is it will give you amazing foundations. Now, I remember Dr. Viv taking part in this very workshop, and she came to us and she just started making art the week before. And she'd never made art in her life, and her husband had bought her a box of pastels and they were in the garage, and she just said one day she just felt like she needed to get them out, and then she found our workshops. And so she'd literally been making art for a week, did these workshops, and that one artwork alone went on this amazing traveling exhibition around the world. It was incredible. So it just shows, I share that story because it shows that even if you're a beginner and you just need one artwork to take part in these workshops, it's really exciting. Now, you might have returned to art after a break. Maybe when you were younger, people told you that there's no point pursuing art, it's not going to get you anywhere in life. Or maybe you loved art, but life took over. Maybe you had children. Whatever the reason, you've had a big break, and now it's quite daunting returning back to art. We have lots of people in our community who have had big breaks, and it can lead to self-doubt when you're you've had that big break and you're not the artist that you used to be. But we have people in our community. Nish springs to mind. Nish had a break of 30 years and then found our workshops and is now making a living selling his graphite drawings. Another person that springs to mind is Linda. Linda found us after a 20-year break, and is a glass artist and is also now making a living. So you're very welcome here if you've had a break from art and you're just returning back. It might be that you have been making art for a long time, but you just can't seem to sell. Maybe you're investing time, money, and you feel like you're just not getting anywhere. And that can then start to lead to self-doubt, fatigue, burnout. You just feel like giving up. What's the point? Now, Simone is a great example of this type of person, because I remember Simone finding us 3 years ago. Simone had been trying to make it as an artist for 20 years. And she said, I was throwing money down the drain, having exhibition after exhibition and trying, and she was tired. And 3 years on now, she's making a living from her art. She has been for a while, but it's a very special day today because Simone is having a show in a gallery that 3 years ago, when she took these workshops, she had a dream to be in a very specific gallery. And that dream has come true, and her show opens up today. So I'm sending you all the vibes, Simone. Maybe you have been selling, but recent events, the pandemic, the cost of living, things are changing, and it may have impacted your art sales. So if that's the case, this workshop will help you as well. It will reinvigorate your art. It will reconnect you with what you're doing and how you can start to connect it to people in the world. So it's for any age, any stage, any reason. So I'm going to share exciting steps. And the sooner you learn these, the better, because you'll avoid all the mistakes that artists make. And these workshops have really been a catalyst for so many. Some people have done these workshops and then realized what direction they want to go in with their art making. They've realized that actually they're not making the art they want to make. Some have gone on to sell from the workshops alone. You might even sell in the next 2 weeks. Some people, the workshops have given them confidence to call themselves an artist. And that might sound like a very simplistic win, but honestly, that first step of having the confidence to do this and to say that, yes, I'm an artist, is super powerful. So I'm excited no matter what stage you are. I had an amazing message actually from someone that took part last year. This is from Nina Kauser, and Nina sent me a message saying, but it was to everybody. She posted it on our page saying, there is no catch to these free workshops, only that you have to be ready to be successful. I did this free course last year, and I followed up with Michelle's 7 Keys course. It's the best, most wonderful gift I could have ever given myself. When I heard the success stories, I thought, that's great, but that could never be me. I didn't even have one artwork when I started the workshops. 12 months on, I've had 3 exhibitions. I've sold internationally. I have a website. I'm part of a talented local art group of ladies who are all incredible. I call myself an artist. I am an artist. Who knew? Thanks to Michelle and the team. Thank you. Thank you. So Nina had painted as a hobbyist for the past 30 years. But when she found us, wasn't painting at all. And so I loved this because Nina says, so when I joined the workshops last year and you said choose one artwork, I actually had to go and paint one. And so, yeah, that just shows you how much can actually happen within a 12-month period. So I want you to really make time in the next 2 weeks to focus on these workshops. Take time for yourself. Say no to as much as you possibly can, because these workshops could change your life. I know it sounds crazy, but I've seen it happen time and time again. So in this video, it's so exciting. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through a framework, which you'll see on this board here, along with the pineapple. And this framework will unlock a lot of confusion around how to get your art into the world. And over the 2 weeks, there will be 4 main videos. So if you haven't signed up already, go and press the link, because that will give you access to all the worksheets that go along with this whole experience. And you'll also get reminders of when I'm live, and I'll be doing some Q&A sessions in between the workshops as well. Now, there are people here who are brand new. Let me know if you've never taken part in these workshops before. Let me know in the comments if you're new here. There are lots of people I know who have taken this time and time again. So if you've taken these workshops before, let me know in the comments. And also, do you have any advice for anyone else who's starting this for the first time? Let us know in the comments if you've got advice. And also just share a little snippet of how the workshops have helped you in the past as well. Now, In the world, there are so many rules and opinions on what makes an artist and what makes artwork. And, you know, you can't call yourself an artist if you're not this and that. And all of these opinions can lead to self doubt and really, make you question your self worth. I know that's how I felt, still do now in terms of what I'm doing. Other people's opinions can really derail us. And then also, a lot of people have had it drummed into them that pursuing a career in the arts will lead to financial struggle and misery. So, with all these factors, it can make us start to feel like, what's the point? And I'm not worthy, and imposter syndrome, which is where we just feel like we're faking it and we're not really an artist. And I can't really sell because I'm just me in my dining room doing this. And then also, we have another big thing affecting the way we think at the moment, and that is the world, the state of the world with everything going on right now. There is a lot of tension in the world. There is a lot of fear in the world. There is a lot of news reports about the cost of living crisis and recessions. And that can also lead to us feeling anxious, scared. Can I do this? Should I be doing this? So, this next 2 weeks is a fantastic time to just put ourselves into a bubble, zone out from everything that's going on, as hard as that is, and to really hone in on ourselves, our art, and what impact we can have. Because there are still people buying art. We have a hub membership where we help people make art a living, and our hubsters, as we call them, or hub stars, are seeing success. We have success pouring in every week from people who are exhibiting, selling. There is still an art market out there, and there always will be. That's never going to go away. So as much as possible, we need to minimize this fear that we're surrounded by at the moment. And the other thing to remember as well, that there are a lot of people impacted by the recession, but there are a lot of people who are not impacted. So we want to remove ourselves from this. And I'll talk about that in a minute and how we do that. One of the things I want to talk about as well is this whole emphasis on there has never been a better time to be an artist than now. And one of the reasons, and I say it every year, is because there's never a better time than now to do anything in life. We need to seize the moment right now, not waiting until we feel ready, or I'll wait till next year when I have this money or this or this or this skill. There is never a better time than now. But also, I talked about this last year about how social media is changing. And if you joined me last year, you might remember, you might not remember, how I said that we have to jump on social media. We don't have to, but it's a good idea to utilize social media right now because we are seeing big shifts. It's becoming harder and harder to get in front of people on social media, but right now it is still possible. But I really do believe, and I might be wrong, that in a couple of years, it's going to be even harder. Things are changing rapidly in the online space. But the good news is there are more people than ever using social media. Habits have changed since the pandemic, and people are much more open to buying artwork online than ever. And with the amount of people online, it's making art more accessible. People don't have to go to a gallery to buy art anymore. It's making us being able to, we can connect. The whole world is at our fingertips, like we are right now. And that can be the same for you. But what I want to say here is don't wait till you feel ready. We need to get moving with this now. That's what I want to encourage you all to do, because I know there'll be some people sitting here thinking, oh, I'm just not ready. I'm just not good enough. And I want to encourage you over these next 2 weeks to take these baby steps and start to take the steps forwards. Now, you don't have to use social media. In fact, the workshops that I teach over the next 2 weeks cover in person. It will cover all sorts of relationship building. But of course, social media is fantastic because there are billions of people using social media. There's 4.6 billion, I think, as I last looked. That's using the internet. And I think close to 4 billion people using social media. So that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this knowledge, because I believe there is a place for everybody in the art world. And it's not just what I believe, it's what I know, because I've been doing this now for years. And out of those billions of people on social media, there will be a pocket of people who connect with what you do. There will be. I always say, if you're making artwork that connects with nobody, it's impossible. Well, and if you are, then you'd stand out from the crowd. There is a place for everyone. I often hear people say, my work is too abstract. People want realistic artwork. My work is too dark. All of these things that people say, and it's just simply not true. It's usually that you just haven't found the right people, because it doesn't matter whether you're self-taught, dark, mystical, happy, sad, conceptual, the list goes on. It is possible for you to carve out your own place in the art world or in the world. And that's what we're going to be focusing on during these workshops. Now, is it easy? No, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. It's not easy, but it is possible. And over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to share lots of stories with you from people that have taken part in these workshops and the transformation that's happened to inspire you all with what is possible for you. And I'd love you to be sat here a year from now sharing your stories with me, and I'll be sat here. Who knows? I could be reading your story out next year. So one of the main actions I want you to take, if you're not already, is to call yourself an artist and say that with confidence. So write it in the comments now. Hi, I'm Michelle. I am an artist from the UK. So tell me in the comments, say it out loud and be proud, because the definition of an artist is someone who makes art as a hobby or a profession. And it can just be that step forward that gets you in the zone, like, yes, I'm an artist. So as we start to move through this workshop now, I want to talk about two of the biggest barriers to success, or two of the biggest failures to succeed are usually down to two problems. And the first problem is not lack of knowledge or lack of skill. And I'm not talking about skill in art necessarily. It's you might be very talented, but you just don't know how to get your art into the world. And the second problem that usually exists is yourself. You're the one usually getting in your own way. And it's pained me over the last few years to see artists within our community, and I say, what are you doing with your artwork? And they say, I'm not, because I just don't know what to do with it. And it's also the same for artists that spend time in the wrong places, doing the wrong things. So over the next 2 weeks, what we share will start to help you get out of your own way and help to start to fill that gap of knowledge, because what we're going to share with you is going to give you a framework. And if we don't know, we don't know. There's a few examples that I want to give you now from artists that just learned a couple of things that totally transformed their art practice. One is Drew Brophy, and a lot of people here will know Drew. I talk about Drew a lot. Maria's come in as a guest many times on our platform. If you don't know Drew, he's known for surf art. He now creates sacred geometry. He's been an artist for decades and decades. He's fantastic. He's over in California. Now, and I'm sending Drew lots of love, because he was very, very, very sick recently post-COVID, and he went through a very tough time. So we're so happy that Drew has made a recovery. So years ago, when Drew started out, he said that someone advised him to always retain the rights of his artwork. So I share this tip with you. Get your pen and paper out now and write this one down. Always retain the rights to your artwork. And I remember hearing that story, and he said he didn't really understand what that meant, but on every receipt, he would write, Drew Brophy retains the rights of the artwork. And then he sold a painting called Sunrise, and I think he sold it for it was about $200, $300. And that painting then went on to be licensed later in his art career. And so what that meant was somebody came along and saw that artwork and said, we'd like to put this onto products. And because he'd retained the rights of that artwork, he was able to do that. And so that one artwork, which is still making money today because it's still being put onto products all over the world, has brought in over 300,000 in licensing deals. That's just that one artwork alone. And, it's little things like this that can happen in your life. You might be plodding along one minute just thinking, I just don't know how this is going to happen. And an opportunity can crop up like that where it just changes everything. Another one, as an example, is my friend Marisa. So Marisa created this little bunny, so cute. And I remember Marisa sharing this story with me, and she said that she was selling cards for $1.50 for a long time, and struggling along and struggling for a long time, and then she met this company, and they too licensed this bunny onto products, and I think onto cards, but on an international level. And this little bunny here has generated over $800,000 in sales. That little bunny. Marisa didn't see all of that money because she was getting paid royalties, but it isn't always about the numbers and the monetary value. But I'm sharing this because sometimes something can happen. And I always say you're one person or one opportunity away from something incredible a lot of the time. So there are just a few examples. And you have the power to carve out your own place in the world. There is no need to have someone validate your artwork. You don't need permission to be an artist. You don't need to be represented by a gallery if you don't want to. You don't need someone to say, yes, you can do this. You can do this yourself. You have the power to carve out. And that's what we're going to show you during these workshops. And that's why I created these, to help you understand more about yourself, your art, and bring it from behind the shadows so that you can go on to make a living. So I'm aware actually that there's a lot of people here that don't know who I am. So I'll just give a very, very quick introduction. So I've been working in the creative industries now for around 20 years. So in my early career, I studied business. I went to business school and I really didn't enjoy it. So I quit. And then I went to the other side, and then I studied art for about 7 years. So I was doing a foundation, I did my degree. And even with all that education in business and in art, when I graduated after art school, it was still a mystery to me how an artist would make a living. And I remember graduating, not knowing how to price it, where to put it. I felt lost. I felt out of my depth. And then I remember one day realizing that business and art go hand in hand. I'd studied both of them, but they felt completely alien to each other. So then I made it my life's work after that to pull those two expertise together, and everything that I'd learned from both to really figure out how an artist sells and what it takes to be a successful artist. And I spent 6 years researching and understanding and looking at people's challenges and the success of people. And I've done interviews and all sorts, literally pages and pages and pages of research. And I'm actually writing a book on this topic at the moment. And then what I realized is that the business side, which often makes artists really scared and sick and like, oh, I don't want to be in business. But whatever we call it, business, marketing, professional practice, that part of being an artist can actually be fun. And it can often feel like a drain on people. But the more we make it fun and connect it to ourselves, which is what this framework is all about, it doesn't feel like work. And it's still difficult, I know. But it's not as scary as it sounds when we use that word business. And when you get to spend each day doing what you love, it is worth the hard work. So with all that experience, I started to be able to see and spot mistakes that artists were making. I started to notice that people were rushing into how do I sell and rushing into social media. And they kept hitting the same brick walls, no sales, no engagement. And then that's when the 7 keys were born, this framework that's on the board behind me, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I literally got Post-it notes out in my dining room and I started to write a course. It wasn't supposed to be a course, but I just wrote this framework because I realized that people were doing courses on Instagram and how to do this. But if you don't have these foundational pieces, then you'll keep going wrong. And so the framework was born and I turned it into a course. And lots of people have taken that course now. There's probably people watching here. I cannot believe the results that have come in from this framework over the last 5 years. It's become a safety net and a guide to so many people. It's actually how I've got United Art Space to where it is today. This is the framework that I've used. I'm using the same framework to write my book. And I think one of the things that this has really helped people with is growth in sales, but also growth in skill and growth in confidence. That's one of the main things. It's not always about how much we sell and how much we make. That does not define our success. And lots of people here will tell you that the growth in confidence has been one of the most amazing parts of this journey, and loving your art and getting passionate about it. So it's a tremendous resource if you feel lost, because this works in a hierarchy. So if you feel lost, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, you can just go back each step and work on it. So the 7 keys is a full course. It's an 8-week course, and I open enrollment to that at the end of these workshops. But what I'm going to do is take you through the framework for free during the next 2 weeks. So you'll learn the first steps of this framework. So take lots of notes during this session. And I'm going to share now. I've got handouts for you. So if you've signed up, there is a download with notes. But if you want to take some notes now, go and grab your pen and paper. So the biggest mistake I see artists make, I'm going to talk about this in the next video, but I want to touch on it right now, because one of the mistakes that I make often as well, and I know other people do, is we've made our artwork and then we jump down, and I'm not sure whether you can see this, but it's mindset, why, what, who, where, how, action. You can print this out. I've sent a copy of it to you. So what most people do is they jump right down to how down here. How do I do this? How do I price? How do I get this out there? And no consideration is given to these steps before. So what I want to do now is just bring you to mindset, which is the biggest one. It's the foundations of everything. I said earlier that one of the biggest things that hold you back is yourself. Now, you might be sitting here thinking, I'm a really positive person. I don't need help with this. But it's not just about thinking positively. Of course, that helps. But mindset is about how you feel about yourself, about your work. But most importantly, it's how you react to situations. Because the one thing that we control, the one thing only in the world that we control, are our thoughts. And we've learned that recently with the pandemic and everything going on in the world. So how we react to situations determines our success, the decisions that we make. So an example of this in terms of mindset, when we start to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, for example, or we're approaching something that's not in our zone and it feels uncomfortable, we sometimes, our brain will start to protect ourselves. So an example of this is every time I run these workshops, and I've been running them 6 years, and I do them different ones 3 times a year. This is not a joke. I would say the week before, I start to tell myself, my brain starts to say, I don't think I want to run United Art Space anymore. Literally, the first time it happened to me, I believed it. And I was like, I don't think I want to run this anymore. I'm going to close it down. And then it was my partner at the time that said, of course you do. You're just scared. And I was like, I'm not scared. I teach about fear. I'm not scared. But fear has a really weird way of hiding itself and convincing you. And then I took a step back and I thought, oh my gosh, I am scared. I don't want to close down United Art Space. Of course I don't. And And it's really funny now. I laugh at it now because it happens, and it happened about 2 days ago. A fleeting thought came in my mind, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And now, because it's happened so many times, I just laugh at it and I just let the thought go. But quite often, if we're about to approach something, and a lot of you will be feeling this, taking part in these workshops, you're taking a step into the unknown and you're starting to learn more about yourself. Your brain over the next 2 weeks will likely start to try and protect you and go, "Oh, you're not good enough. You don't have the same skill. Look at all these people who are taking part in this workshop. They're just so much better than you. What are you doing here?" I guarantee you'll start to feel thoughts, and that is not the truth. You're not a definition of what your brain thinks. Your brain is a tool. It's what we use to make decisions, so it doesn't define you. So what we want to do here is start to be really aware of the thoughts that we're telling ourselves, because sometimes fear can paralyze, it can limit our potential, can affect the way we position ourselves if we're coming from a place of fear or desperation. And so, especially if you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone as well. So, like I say, you can be the most positive person in the world, but if fear is telling you something to try and keep you safe, you might not recognize it as being fear. So we want to really be self-aware, and you'll using this framework, you'll have a happier life. I've heard this from so many people that have said that during these workshops they've lost weight and they've got on better with their partners. And so I can't guarantee those things, but I'm just saying that's what other people have said. So what does this have to do with making a living? Everything, because this is what dictates our success. We create success on purpose, programming our mind for success. Now, one of my favorite quotes, and those who've taken this before will know this one: where focus goes, energy flows. Write that one down. Where focus goes, energy flows, because your mind is super powerful. And what you see more of, and what you think and what you believe, you'll see it everywhere when you tune in. So if you were told, for example, that the art world's dead, there's no one buying art anymore, and it might plant a seed in your mind, and then you go and look online and you'll be looking for something, you'll see an article, the art world's dead, or people aren't buying at galleries anymore. What this does is it puts it into your mind, your RAS, and you start to see evidence everywhere that the art world is dead, because you're tuned in. It's subconscious. Your brain is subconsciously looking. We always talk about red cars. If you buy a red car, you'll see more red cars on the road. Are there more red cars? No, you're just seeing them because your brain is tuned in. So those who've been taking these workshops before, this is such a good time now to reset and get our brains focused on what it is that we want to see more of. And that's, we want to see opportunities in our art. We want to see people out there that are hungry to connect with us. We want to see people that are inspiring us. And this a great example of this actually is the pineapple. So I'm going to be talking about the pineapple a lot during these sessions. There's a few reasons. I'm going to be sharing in every workshop something about the pineapple. There is a big reason why I chose the pineapple. But one of the things that I want to share is, I worked with this pineapple. I've done graphics and I've taken pictures and I did a video. Some of you may have seen in the adverts. But what was so fascinating was, after we had fun with this pineapple, doing lots of videos, we started to see pineapples everywhere. And then I was having conversations about pineapples with people, and they told me that on top of St. Paul's Cathedral in London, there's pineapples. And then I realized that I'd bought a top for holiday with pineapples on it. And this is no coincidence. And this is what happens when your brain is tuned into something. You will start to see it everywhere. So we want to create your own pineapple during these workshops. I know it sounds bonkers, but there are opportunities out there facing you right now, and you can't see them. This is what is so exciting about these workshops, because by the end of the 2 weeks, you will start to see them. You're going to clear your mind. You're going to get focused, and you'll start to see, like seeing the pineapples. We're going to get you tuned in to your own art so that you can see the opportunities that are there. It's really exciting. Because right now, what you believe, you will conceive. So if you keep saying, I can't do this, I'm not talented enough about this, I can't do the business side, I can't, you'll see more of that. So during these 2 weeks, we're going to ask different questions. What if it is possible? What if you're just not putting your work in the right place? What if you're just not communicating it in the right way? What if you just need to tweak just a few things? What if you're one person away from a major opportunity and you're about to give up? What if there are a pocket of people in there, in the world, that you can connect with that's going to fill your life with passion and purpose? What if instead you say, I am worth more, I do have talent, and with help, I can make this possible? So, one of the actions, the next action is to become really aware in the next 2 weeks of the stories that you're telling yourself about your ability to succeed, because what you believe, you'll conceive. So, I want you to start reframing and start believing that this is possible. And what if it was possible? What could it make possible for you? And if you struggle with this, I recommend just closing your eyes for 10 minutes and visualizing yourself as the successful person that you want to be. I do this often. I do this before I run the workshops. I close my eyes and I always imagine what it is that I want to achieve or what it is that I want to succeed at. Sports people do this if they want to go to the Olympics, or if sports people are in a game, they will visualize themselves winning. You can do this too for your own art and for your own life. It's programming your mind for success. So action 2, and all of these are in the worksheet that you can download. So you don't have to take notes on this. We've sent you this in the worksheets. But action 2 is to reset. I want you to spend the next 2 weeks just kind of resetting. And by that, I mean, get rid of all your preconceived ideas of what an artist is and what's possible and what other people are doing. And if they're doing that, then I should be doing this. And I want you to just reset. I want you to just stop all of that. I want you to stop the I can't and what if and trying to predict the future. And if I did this, what would happen down here? Just stop. Live right now, today, and try and minimize over the next 2 weeks so that you can really have a clear head, because you won't see opportunities if your head is full of questions and noise and fear and what ifs. You won't see the opportunities. So you want to, as much as possible, free yourself over the next 2 weeks so that you don't have cluttered heads, because the answers are staring you in the face. I promise over the next 2 weeks, when we go through these workshops, you will start to see some of the answers that are there. It's exciting. The next key down, so mindset and then why. I'll talk more about why in the next video. But I want to share a little bit about the why and why it's so powerful, because the why holds answers to so many things. Before you go rushing off to a gallery or an application for a grant or rushing off to make an artwork or deciding what direction to go in, really tuning into your why is powerful. It helps you connect with people. Your why is how you stand out from the crowd. You might have thousands of portrait artists, but there's no portrait artist like you. You are different to everyone else. Your why, you, is what makes you different. Your why holds the answers to who your people are, which is some of the keys coming down here. It helps you write social media captions. It helps you write the copy for your website. Your why is how you write your bio and your statement. Your why is what fires you up to make art. It ensures that you're on the right path. Your why is what will get you the grant application. And this is where sometimes people can panic and say, I don't have a why. I just make art for me. It's my therapy. My art has no depth. There is a why and there is a story behind every artist and every artwork. And over the next 2 weeks, we're going to draw that out of yourself. To begin with, I talk about peeling layers of an onion. Keep it simple. To start with, it can just simply be why you made it, why this piece of artwork exists. Why do you do what you do? Why does this matter to you? So in the worksheets, I've got some questions for you to start to answer, to start to unravel some of the why. And if it's raw and personal, you don't have to share all the deep personal stuff. It's just, it could be that my art is a form of therapy. It's from a painful place, and that's enough. You don't have to bring up all the details. It's really important because when people are desperate to sell, and I've been there, I've been that person where I'm like, oh, I need to sell, I need to sell, I need to sell. It comes across when people are just trying to sell to you. You'll have noticed this, I'm sure, in your life when you know when you're being sold to. It's not a nice feeling. And so these steps are going to help you start to nurture relationships and connect, because people connect with art on an emotional level. That's why people buy art. It creates some kind of emotion. And this is going to help you start to help people connect on that emotional level with your artwork. But also, if you're not connected to the why, you might not be making the right artwork. I've seen this happen many times where people, their art is not selling anymore. And so they just start making art that other people are making that seems to be selling. And it's such a dangerous path to go down, because your work needs to be you. And that's how it's going to stand out, honestly. So when you get clear on why you're doing all of this, why it matters, it gives you the fuel as well to push this forward. When you are really making art that speaks to you, you'll be more determined to get it out into the world. So part of this, successful businesses have a mission statement, like this is my mission to make this art. And that's the fuel. When you see businesses have mission statements, it's the fuel to keep them going. And that's what I'm going to pull out of you over the next 2 weeks. Because without that, you'll flounder. You'll start to ask yourself, what's the point in this? But if you're getting really fired up about your why, you'll have a point. But if you don't have a point, you'll give up. So that's what we want to do here. We want to really pull out this excitement about what you're doing, no matter what age, stage, or how you're making. It's about you being truthful. So the third action is to choose one artwork. And I know this can really chew people up. So let me talk about this. So we're going to eliminate all the fear around choosing one artwork. This can be the hardest part of the workshops. We want to take your artwork on a journey through the 7 keys, so we can get clear on all the steps that lead into who it's for, where it will go. And I want you to choose one artwork that you've really enjoyed making, one that you'd like to make more of, one that you'd like to sell. And it doesn't matter too much which artwork it is, because the whole point of these workshops is to teach you how to use this framework. So after the workshops, you can choose a different artwork and go through the framework again. So I don't want you to get hung up on which artwork. You might choose one, and then a week time, you might think it was the wrong one. I'll choose a different one. It's okay, but just choose one, because you're going to learn the framework more than anything. And so this also is choosing without any other people's opinions in mind. Don't put this out there and say, which one do you think I should choose between these two? This is your decision. Nobody else's opinion matters at this point. My opinion doesn't matter on which I think will sell, because when you make art that's you're passionate about, there is a place for you. You'll have a story, you'll have a purpose. You'll be connected to it. So that's the most important part here. No one else's opinions matter. No one here should tell you which one you should choose. You should choose this. That's your decision. So if you do need some help, though, of course, we're here to help. If you want to just talk to us and say, we've got the group, you can post a comment under here. You can post out on social media. We've got a Facebook group as well. So if you want to post in the Facebook group, if you're on there, go and post in there and say, I've got these two, I'm not sure which to choose. So we can help you make that decision quickly. So if you've signed up via the link, you will have been sent an event page where the worksheets are. So you can go and download those worksheets and start to make all of this happen right now. So I'm going to recap really quickly what we've covered so far. There is a place for you in the art world. You have the power to carve out your own place. I know it for a fact. You have a voice. You are valued. And as artists, we often don't make time to reflect on the why and our purpose. So this is time now to really focus on that. Even if you're already selling, please don't skip this step. There will be golden nuggets. I've done this before. I think I already know my why. I already know. And when I go back, there is more information and more nuggets that I pull out every time I do this exercise. So you might think you know who your buyers are. Please do this anyway. And so the main actions to recap: 1, call yourself an artist. 2, become really aware of the stories that you're telling yourself, especially in regards to your ability to succeed. We want to start reframing that. Press the reset button. Breathe. Stop clouding your head with questions. Create space. Eliminate the noise. Maybe just take a step back from the news for a while. Put yourself in that bubble so that you can really tune into yourself. Be present here, right now, today, so that those answers can come over the next 2 weeks. The answers that are there, they're waiting for you. Choose one artwork that you've enjoyed making and that you'd like to make more of and maybe sell. Like I showed an example earlier, we had Nina who joined last year. She didn't even have an artwork. She quickly made one, but she still has success. She went on to have exhibitions. She's selling. So don't get too hung up about that step. And then go to the event website, sign up if you haven't, and we'll send you the worksheets. There are questions in that worksheet that you can download and start answering right away. And this is exciting. This is the beginning. I can't wait to see where this journey takes you. So you may have lots and lots of notes from this session today. I would love you to share in the comments now. What's the one thing that you are taking away from this session today? What's the one thing? Have you had a aha moment? Is there one thing you think, I need to do this from today? One thing that you want to share with us, let us know in the comments, or if you want to keep it private, write it down. And then we will check the comments, but we can't always comment on every comment because we get banned from Facebook because we have so many comments. So we will try, and I will read them all. I will read them all, but I might not be able to comment on everybody. So if you found this video useful, please share it with others. I only run this event once a year. So if you know anybody who likes making art and you think that they would benefit from this, tag them, or please just feel free to share the video and share it onto your profile. That would be amazing. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to be here with us. With the 10,000 people we have from around the world taking part in this, we're going to have an incredible 2 weeks together. And what you're learning already today is this simple framework for breaking down the steps of making art a living. It will stay with you for life. I'm sure you'll do this time and time and time again now, because as I've said, people have said how much this has actually changed people's lives. It blows my mind still now. Some people have results in the 2 weeks. For some people, it takes a bit longer. It takes 6 months. You know, there's no time frame. But what I know is success does not happen overnight. You're not going to do this and just tomorrow get the deal that's going to get you $800,000 of sales in cars. It doesn't work that way. But these foundations will lay amazing, amazing steps to help you step forward. So just enjoy soaking it all up over the next 2 weeks. And I'll be back tomorrow. So I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. UK time. I'll send you the links in an email. So again, make sure you're signed up. I'll also share a time conversion link as well, so you can convert that into your time zone. 3 p.m. UK time tomorrow. It'll be a Q&A session. You can post your questions under the video if you can't attend live. So you'll be able to watch the replay of that and I'll answer your questions. The great thing with watching on a replay is that you can watch on double speed and watch in fast time. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to go now and get a nice cup of tea and read through all of your amazing comments. And I'm excited to have you all here. So thank you once again. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.